Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kudlow. I'm Larry Kudlow. So, the best line of today by far came from my hero, Elon Musk. You may recall he was Time Magazine's Person of the Year. At various moments, I've nominated him for Fed chairman and other big government jobs because he's a brilliant guy with a lot of real-world horse sense and a good sense of humor. So, after President Biden met with Ford and GM yesterday, talking about building more electric cars, and of course, he never invites Tesla to these meetings, never, even though Tesla vastly outsells Ford and GM, Elon Musk tweeted this quote, "Biden is a damp sock puppet in human form." Elon went on to say that Biden's treating the American public like fools. Now, I'm not totally sure what a damp sock puppet is, but I have a feeling it's not a compliment, and I think it's a wonderful line. Wish I had thought of it. Musk, by the way, has criticized Biden's big government socialist agenda, saying at one point we don't need any of it. There's an absolute truth. He also said we don't need any more electric car subsidies. Now, Musk took them in the past, but he's saying enough is enough, and I totally agree. In the Build Back Better bill from the House, families earning $800,000 a year were eligible for $12,500 in subsidies if they bought an electric car. Not much safety net means testing there. So much for a policy that's utterly ridiculous. By the way, to fully qualify, of course, the electric car and its batteries had to be built in union shops. Musk has moved a big chunk of his car business to Texas, which is a right-to-work state, and he'll be using non-union labor. I wonder if a family earning $800,000 could possibly buy an electric car without a $12,500 subsidy coming out of the pockets of middle-class working folks. In fact, the damn sock puppet is having an all-around hard time. Not just that. In a recent poll from Politico Morning Consult, Biden just lost to a generic Republican, 46-37. And, of course, the usual litany of Afghanistan catastrophe, open border disasters, record inflation, parents, domestic terrorists, record crime, and now an unconstitutionally divisive ethnic and racial standard for an open Supreme Court seat, which, by the way, wouldn't even pass muster on a college campus. But now the damp sock puppet is in a brutal chess match with Vladimir Putin and seems to be losing. I hope he doesn't lose for America's sake. But right now, he's certainly on his heels, and it looks like time's running out. So, this morning's news report from the Wall Street Journal goes into some length describing how White House officials were holding marathon video calls with officials around the world to get more liquid natural gas over to Europe if the U.S. sanctions the Nord Stream pipeline. Now, that may be a big if, but 40% of Europe's natural gas comes from Russia, which, of course, Putin knows full well. When the damp sock puppet removed the Nord Stream 2 sanctions, it was a great gift to Vladimir Putin. Now that pipeline has come home to roost, hasn't it? Here's the trouble. For the past year, the sock puppet has been bad-mouthing oil, natural gas, and all fossil fuels here. It's been pathetic. When oil prices started spiking because American producers pulled back, recognizing that their government was going to war with them, the sock puppet and his team again went around the world to find more oil, and perhaps natural gas going hat in hand to the Saudis and, of course, Russia. If Team Biden had any horse sense whatsoever, they wouldn't have canceled the Keystone Pipeline in the first hour after inauguration. They wouldn't have canceled ANWR. They wouldn't have lifted drilling fees on public lands. They wouldn't have nominated bank regulators who would deny credit to fossil fuel producers. And they wouldn't have invented totally false, whacked-out climate risk scenarios that have no basis in science or fact or common horse sense. The U.S. can produce more natural gas than any other country in the world. Our guys have already shown that until Biden stopped them out. Bet he wishes now he hadn't. I don't hear one word of praise from him about our great fossil fuel producers and drillers and innovators and entrepreneurs, but he sure needs them now. And finally, the damp sock puppet in human form, again, I'm merely using Elon Musk's phrase, he wants to take credit for today's GDP report, which did come in a bit better than expected at 6.9% for the quarter, but with 7% inflation. The inflation was caused by the first dose of big government socialism last spring. And frankly, lingering economic growth today really still stems from the Trump tax cuts that the sock puppet and his allies want so desperately to repeal. Well, here's a warning. If you look below the headline, it was actually a rather weak report. Private consumer and business spending were very soft. The bulk of the growth came from a massive inventory increase, which will not be sustained. Now, here's a thought. Half the states around the country are cutting taxes while the sock puppet wants to increase them. Now, if he ever gets his tax hike, that's going to be his second monumental economic mistake. The first was shutting down fossil fuels. The second would be adding a root canal without Novocaine to an economy at the same time the Fed is taking away the punch bowl. Democrats should instead make the Trump tax cuts permanent, and at least Republicans should be arguing for that. Scott Rasmussen's poll says about 60% of the country wants to make the Trump tax cuts permanent. You know why? Because people are smarter than these D.C. swamp politicians. As Elon Musk said, Biden is treating the American people like fools, just like a damp sock puppet in human form. His phrase, my riff.